Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is the show where we talk about movies, sci-fi, comic books, TV, fantasy. If you geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. I am joined on this lovely afternoon by Lisa McGahee. Hello.
Hello.
Thank you for being here.
My pleasure.
I know, right? Like you had much of a choice in the matter?
True story.
It's not like I'm holding you hostage or anything, but, you know, it is nice to have another person to bounce off of. Last week I did a couple shows by myself. Felt like it was a little dry and boring. I don't like doing them by myself very much, so I like to have someone bounce stuff off of. And especially now that Josh has become so busy with school, you might have to sit in this chair a little bit more than what you'd like.
That's okay. I don't mind.
You don't mind?
I mean, it depends on what we have going on.
Well, I try to keep the topics on something that, you know, you want to talk about at least. Try to edit them. And I'll save the other stuff for, you know, just me rambling on by myself then. So, in any event, we are here, guys, to talk. So, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, Lisa and I are going to run down some stories that happened last week. Usually start off with some DC news, Marvel news, move into Star Wars, Harry Potter if there is any, and then go on to miscellaneous news. So, Lisa, you ready to jump right into it?
Sure.
All right. Well, hold on a second. Let me take a sip of my, 5-hour-old coffee?
Yeah. That was not my phone buzzing.
That was me buzzing. It's all right. We'll move on from there. We'll just ignore it. All right. So, starting off, in the DC news, it looks like actor Billy Crudup, I think that's how you say his name, Billy Crudup has reportedly in talks to join Ezra Miller in the upcoming Flash movie for Warner Brothers. Now, Billy has been seen in movies such as Watchmen and Big Fish and Almost Famous. Pretty known actor. You remember who he is, right? Okay.
Yeah.
So he's set to appear supposedly as Barry Allen's dad in the upcoming Warner Brothers film. The Flash is set to come out March 6, 2018. Before that, though, I guess he's going to appear in Ridley Scott's next Alien film, Alien Covenant. So he's got a busy plate coming up. But in any event, I think it's a good choice. He looks like he could be Ezra Miller's dad. They look very similar with the black hair and stuff like that. So good casting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
I mean, you know, okay, so based on from the Flash TV show and what you know about what Barry Allen's dad is supposed to be like, you think, of course, he can do the job, right?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on me because we don't really know what they're doing.
Version. I mean, he might be a hardened criminal with tattoos all over him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know.
Which they shouldn't do.
I don't know anything about what this movie is going to be. I know that I like Ezra Miller. I think he's going to do a good job as the Flash.
Yeah.
So until I hear some more, like, I mean, I'm not excited about this casting, but I'm not thinking it's going to be horrible either.
He's a good actor in a movie that, you know, you're anxious to see. So you really can't complain about it.
Yeah, no.
He's got to wait for more information, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall good casting. I will say, though, sorry, no one's going to beat John Wesley Shipp in the Flash TV series because John Wesley Shipp is not only Barry Allen's dad, he is actually the Flash twice. That's right. He was the Flash in the original 90s show, and spoiler alert, he's the Flash from Earth 3 in the Flash TV series. Sorry if I spoiled it for you guys. So, John Wesley Shipp, plus he played Dawson's Leary dad in Dawson's Creek. So, you know, he's got mad street cred.
Okay.
But anyway, yeah, Billy.
You're way too excited about this story.
I'm excited about all my stories. What are you talking about? Not just this one.
All right.
All the stories are something to get excited about. Something else to get excited about is Anne Hathaway. She was talking to Variety at the Toronto Film Festival and basically said she would love the chance to play Catwoman again in a DC film. She said, quote, "I love the character and I had such a blast playing her. I'm not sure how it would work because I think the Christopher Nolan chapter of the Batman story has been wrapped up and I'm part of that, but I love the DC universe and it would be fun to take a trip back."
They're not going to do that.
They're not going to do that, of course, but, you know, that would be really fun to see her do that. I loved Anne Hathaway as Catwoman, you know.
I love Anne Hathaway in just about everything
That's
she
true.
does.
She's pretty
great.
good in almost everything she does, so really can't go against her on that. But yeah, I mean,
I don't see the DC. I don't see them putting her in their new universe in any part, let alone the same character.
I think it'd be interesting to see who they cast as Catwoman as well, because I think, you know, you have the iconic Michelle Pfeiffer from Tim Burton's Batman Returns, and then I think Anne Hathaway, honestly, was my favorite part of The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I liked her a lot.
She did the role very
well. I
well.
didn't love that movie, but I liked her in it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, so one thing I wanted to get into too, I totally forgot, was today Captain America Civil War came out, and I was thinking about this yesterday. I think I brought this up before too. I'm going to wager. I say that the Captain America trilogy is better than the Dark Knight trilogy.
Yeah, okay. I'm with you on that.
Well, I think, yeah. I think if I had a different audience, maybe they'd argue that a little more. Maybe I'll bring it up to Josh.
I mean, I really like Christopher Nolan's Batman, but I think if you're looking at overall,
all three
films as a whole, because I really liked Batman Begins. Just because, I mean, it was the beginning. I love... I thought it was really good. I really enjoyed the first one. And then, obviously... The Dark Knight is like a masterpiece.
Considered one of the best films. Yes,
right. But I was underwhelmed by The Dark Knight Rises.
It had some parts to it, yeah.
But overall, it's not one, for me in terms of like rewatchability, meh. I would be perfectly happy not watching that one again. You know what I mean? Like, it's okay. If you're looking at the Captain America, I mean, all three Captain America movies are great. Like, I mean, I would watch all three.
As a whole, yeah.
Yeah. Captain America, hands down.
When the Dark Knight Rises, it's kind of like when you're watching the Star Wars films. You only watch Phantom Menace when you're going to do a marathon.
Right, only because you have to.
Exactly. So same thing with Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, exactly.
So, there we go. All right, so jumping off of that, we'll go into kind of the meat of the DC news we got going on. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal, DC Entertainment President Jeff Johns talked about certain changes that are going to be coming up in the DC films. Quote, mistakenly in the past, I think the studio has said, oh, DC films are gritty and dark, and that's what makes them different. That couldn't be more wrong. It's a hopeful and optimistic view of life. Even Batman has a glimmer of that in him. If he didn't think he'd make tomorrow better, he'd stop. Now, this, of course, coming out of reports from Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice and kind of how it lacked a little bit of hope and optimism and felt kind of dark. But then if you look at the Justice League trailer, we saw at Comic-Con, had the jokes in there, looked a little more lighthearted. So it kind of goes to show that I think they're going to step out of that dark and grittier tone that they were trying to do beforehand. Do you think it's going to serve them well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Batman or the DC films could use a little bit of hope. That's what it is. It's not, I mean, I think that's where we keep talking about how dark they are. And, like, we're not talking about dark as in, like, it's dark physically, like, in color. You know, like,
although it kind of is, because it's Zack Snyder.
It is, yes. But, I mean, the tone, there's not a lot of hope and optimism. I mean, Batman v Superman, there's hope and optimism is not there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, even Superman has no hope and optimism in that movie. He is, like, super depressed. Yeah. So I think that DC could use a little tiny bit of hope.
So I talked a little about this about last week's show when this story came up. And it has to do with, just because I was referring to the Batman v Superman Ultimate Cut, just because it doesn't have like all the quips that say the Marvel movies does. Mm-hmm. I still like the Ultimate Cut. It's a very serious film, but I still think it's a pretty good film versus the theatrical cut, which is crap. And anyway, but it doesn't mean just because it has a different tone doesn't mean doesn't mean it's bad. I think if anything, it's the film itself that's bad, not really the tone.
We need to quit comparing it to Marvel.
And that's just how it is. DC and Marvel have been compared to each other even before they started becoming movies. Back in the comic book age, that's just how it is.
I'm just saying, I'm not trying to say Batman v Superman was dark compared to Civil War or compared to Age of Ultron. I'm not comparing it. I'm saying as a standalone, as a film, it was dark. Mm-hmm. Like, the tones were dark. I mean, Batman was angry. Superman was depressed and upset.
He was moody, yeah.
Yeah, like, it was like a teenage angst movie, but with adults.
Uh-huh.
So I'm just looking at that film as a whole. There needs a little bit of hope in there.
It's true. I mean, well, this coming from Jeff Johns, who, like I said, was the newly appointed DC Entertainment president. You know my stance on Jeff Johns. Mm-hmm. Love him as a writer. He's awesome. And I think he's right, especially when it comes to, you have Batman, and yeah, he is a dark character, but Flash, Superman, Wonder Woman, these are not dark characters, okay? So you can't keep them in that world. The more serious tone, I get it, but you have to let these characters smile every once in a while.
You can be serious and still have hope and optimism.
Yeah, and with Batman, I kind of figured it out too. If you look at him in Batman v Superman versus the Justice League trailer, he doesn't seem as serious because he's kind of on a mission that for Superman's sacrifice spoiler, I guess, if you haven't seen Batman v Superman. Superman's sacrifice changed him, and he was in that dark place, and now he's kind of out of it, doing the job, trying to recruit people to help save Earth. So he's a different character unto itself.
Batman.
Yeah, Batman is. So Bruce Wayne. So that goes into, making him a more lighter character for the Justice League movie, as opposed to the darker, rage-filled man he was in Dawn of Justice.
And Batman v Superman.
Oh, he was psychopath. Totally.
He was branding people and stuff. That's dark shit.
Yeah, it is. It is killing him too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean. Just saying.
He saw the lights, I guess you could say.
Well, I'm glad, because, geez Louise.
So hopefully we'll get more of a Batman that we're closer to in comic adaptations, and even, the Christopher Nolan adaptation where he was kind of against more of the killing. But really, for that, it was a different adaptation of the character than the Christopher Nolan movies, and I think that's where the disconnect came, is people automatically thought, because the Christopher Nolan films didn't come out that long ago, so people immediately thought we were going to get the same Batman from those movies we were in this one, and we didn't.
No, not
So
at all.
I think that's kind of something people had to get used to.
Swear to me.
All right, so moving on, talking about the CW shows. Now, before that, okay, I'm going to do a quick little review. Friday, Supergirl Season 1 came out on Netflix. Now, I've been waiting to watch this show because we cut our cable a while ago, and here in this house we just have our Hulu and our Netflix and our Amazon, and one of the things that Hulu doesn't get is CBS shows, and Supergirl had its first season on CBS, so I really didn't get to see any of it.
You didn't want to see any of it originally. Don't try to act like you were
I was getting to that part, okay? Let me get to there. I'm trying to tell a story, okay? I'm trying to take our viewers on a journey, okay? Just let me go on the journey here, okay? Anyway, so I didn't watch it. I tried to watch the premiere online. I was kind of in and out of it, but sat down this weekend, and when I wasn't watching football or working, I was watching Supergirl, went through all 20 episodes, finished it last night. So, start off, when I originally saw the trailer about a year ago, I think it was at Comic-Con last year, they premiered it, I thought the show looked like crap. I thought it was going to be this rom-com with Supergirl, and I thought it was going to be ridiculous. I don't know what song they used for that trailer, but it just made it seem that much more hokey and ridiculous. So I wasn't having, high hopes. I was really looking forward to the Flash crossover episode when I sat down to start this. And after about 3 or 4 episodes in, I was like, this show doesn't suck. I mean, it's in no way like, premiere TV like Game of Thrones or Breaking Bad or anything like that. But when I was watching it, I was putting it to the standards of a Flash or an Arrow or a Smallville, those kind of CW superhero shows. And it fit in really well. It had good characters, good storylines. Some of the acting and some of the dialogue was, a bit hokey, but we've come to expect it from these kind of shows. The lead, what's her name? Melissa Boniste. I know I mispronounced that name because I always do. She did a great job. I like her as the title role. She showed a lot of range, especially in her Red Kryptonite episode. I know how Lisa
Red Kryptonite.
Yes, Lisa's still reminiscent of all those Smallville Red Kryptonite episodes.
I hate Red Kryptonite.
And they kind of follow that same suit in this one, where she had her Red Kryptonite episode where she turned against everyone, and then of course she's got to make amends for what she did, much like they did in Smallville. If anything, this show is so comparable to Smallville because in the first episode, we find out that Kara has escaped the Phantom Zone, and in doing so, she has brought all these villains that were trapped in the Phantom Zone to Earth. So then she has to spend a lot of the season capturing all these aliens with the help of the DEO, which is the agency that collects aliens and monitors alien threats on Earth. Now, for those of you who don't remember, that was pretty much the premise of Smallville Season 6. When Clark escapes the Phantom Zone, the Phantoms come with him, and then he spends the whole season trying to collect them and make amends for his mistake. So, in any event, as far as the rest of the cast, the surprise for me was actually Callista Flockhart as Cat Grant.
Sorry, I was playing.
I
was seeing if I could find a pronunciation of her last name.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Anyway.
Off the page you're looking at.
But yeah, Callista Flockhart as Cat Grant, I was surprised. I thought she was going to be this kind of this bitchy boss throughout the whole season. But they actually had a lot of depth where she was very much a mentor character to not only Kara, but also Supergirl as well. They developed a relationship, and they said now since the show is moving to Vancouver, it was filmed in LA, they're moving to Vancouver with all the other CW shows.
Is she going to keep doing it?
They said she's not going to be a regular member, she's going to be a reoccurring guest star. Is what it is. So I'm kind of sad by that because I thought, like I said, her relationship with Supergirl was a highlight of the season. So I'm a little disappointed in that. Now, one thing probably the weakest relationship I thought Supergirl had in the entire season was her relationship with Jimmy Olsen. Originally, this Jimmy Olsen, when I saw him, I was like, this isn't freaking Jimmy Olsen. This is a big hunking black guy who looks like he's so suave and cool. That's not Jimmy Olsen. Well, then, of course, I watched the series. And you got to put it in time context is what it is, okay? So, Krypton explodes. Both Clark or Kal-El and Kara both go off. So, Kara was trapped in the Phantom Zone for 24 years. And then she gets out and comes to Earth. By the time she comes out, Superman has already appeared. Takes her to a family that he trusts, and then they raise her for another 12 years. So she's roughly, about 25 or so, because she was 13 when she left. So she's like 25 in the series when it starts off. But then when you look at, say, Superman, for instance, 24 years plus 12, he's about, 36-ish in that? So, and he's had 12 years, by the time she came to Earth, that's 12 years, from that time to when she grew up and came out as Supergirl, where you've had Superman. So, in that respect, you got to think that Superman probably at this point has already, hooked up with Lois Lane. Maybe they're even married or something like that.
Well, I guess we'll find out. Isn't he going to be in the show?
He's going to be in the show in season 2. So, we'll just have to wait and see about that. And then, so if they've grown up, you got to think Jimmy Olsen has grown up as well. To where, yeah, he probably started off as this, bumbling, bow-tied photographer. But then in 12 years or more, he's grown up into the Jimmy Olsen more mature character we see.
Or maybe he just never was that bumbling bow tie, whatever, because this is a different interpretation.
Any event here, I'm willing to accept or leap on faith that the character has become a man, not just the boy, and I will accept this version we got. However, they always have, each show they have that season-long kind of will they, won't they romance. It was between Jimmy and Kara. Is what it is. And to me, that was a very weak point of the season, or the weakest relationship, I thought, of the season, because in it, too, you also had her best friend, Wynn, who is really like the Jimmy Olsen type character, very, boyish and naive and, dorky, yes. He had feelings for Kara, but of course, she wasn't having any of it. She had eyes for Jimmy, the big, hunky black guy. It's just how it is. But anyway, at any event, yeah, the Jimmy Olsen relationship, the character itself wasn't that bad. It was just the relationship with Kara that I felt was a little weak. But in any event, overall, I really liked it. Now, one thing I really liked as well, too, is they brought in John Jones, a.k.a. the Martian Manhunter. I'm really glad we've seen Martian Manhunter in Justice League animated series, and we saw him a little bit in Smallville. This one, he had a recurring role. He was in pretty much every episode. But they didn't show him as like the green Martian Manhunter because he's all CGI, and of course, budget-wise, you can't leave him at that all the time. So most of the time, he was in his human form. But I love what they do with that character. I'm looking forward to that, more of it. Overall, I'm actually now excited that they saved this show and brought it over to CW, because I think it felt more like a CW show than a CBS show as well. Because if you think about CBS, that's like, sitcoms like Big Bang Theory or 2.5 Men, and, drama like CSI and NCIS and whatever, letter type.
I get it.
Exactly. It didn't seem like it fit very well on that show because of the fantasy and sci-fi nature of it. I think it's a much better place for it on the CW. Plus, the CW, what I want to say, you don't have to have as good of ratings on the CW as you do on CBS to stay in there. So, but overall, yeah, I like the season. The Flash episode was pretty good. There's a couple highlight episodes. I might go through like a top 5 and do that tomorrow if I have time, so you can listen to that show tomorrow. But overall, I recommend checking out Supergirl, especially if you're a fan of The Flash and Arrow and what Greg Berlanti is doing with that whole universe. My only question at this point is now that she's coming over to the CW with the other Greg Berlanti shows, I'm curious if they're actually going to keep her in her own separate Earth, try to incorporate her, because I know they've got that 4-show crossover coming up. I don't know what they're going to do with it, but in any event, Supergirl, I think you should definitely check it out if you're into, like I said, The Flash and Arrow and want to get more in depth into all of that. So now that I've said my piece, you were looking over my shoulder last night as I was finishing up Supergirl. Having not really watched a full episode, what are your impressions of the show?
I think it looked all right. I mean, the bits and pieces that I saw it had a very Smallville feeling to it. So.
It is, yes.
Yeah.
I felt like, and that's the thing too, is with this show, I felt like it took a lot of its cues from not only really Smallville, but also just Superman in general. You had a lot of Superman villains in there, a lot of Superman storylines. The infamous Superman storyline for the man who has everything, where Superman gets this alien attached to him, and it makes him dream like his perfect life, where he's back on Krypton. Krypton never exploded. They did that exact same one, except for with Supergirl. So a lot of storylines of villains they were just kind of taken from Superman, but they used them pretty well. So overall, I'm pretty happy with that. Now, I will say one of the reasons I think you should check it out more, Lisa, is because, again, one of the better relationships I thought was between her and her sister. You know, they're very close. They had that very nice, sisterly bond that you and your sister seem to have. So I think it's an aspect of the show you might latch on to. So,
well, when I have time at some point in my life, then I will watch the show.
You always say that.
Well, I don't have time.
You do have time. You just do other things.
Right.
That's what it is. Don't say you don't have time. You just do other things.
Right, which means I don't have time.
Anyways.
I'm not a big fan of Arrow. The first season I watched it with you, and it was okay. I mean, I watched bits and pieces. I never got into it. I mean, I think Stephen Amell is hot and, whatever, but I don't know. I've never been a big fan of that show. So I'm kind of... I like The Flash, but you know me, I don't really have time to watch TV.
I know, you've talked about that.
So, whatever. I'll do the book segment of this show, okay? That's where I would rather spend my time. If I have to choose between sitting and watching TV and reading, I will read.
Okay.
I don't think that's a problem.
I don't think that's
Mr.
a problem.
Judgy PS.
I don't think it's a problem either. Okay, I'm just saying, there's some good stuff out there. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's lots of good books out there, too.
There is a lot of good books, too. That's why they make them into movies and TV shows.
Well, until they do, I will just read them.
After watching Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, I said I was more excited for what DC was doing on TV than what they were doing in the films. And then now after seeing Suicide Squad and then also watching Supergirl as well, I still feel that way now. I mean, I think the movies are starting to correct themselves a little bit. Like I said, I like the ultimate cut of Batman v Superman. I like the way Wonder Woman and Justice League looks, but the way they're doing this shared TV universe with Greg Berlanti, I think it's going to shape up nicely, adding Supergirl in there, and I'm anxious to see just how much they're all going to cross over. So, in any event, all right, so that's it for DC news, guys. Now, surprisingly, we have no Marvel news.
No
right?
way.
I mean, now all the Marvel TV shows and movies, and there's nothing really that came up that I thought was worthy of talking about. So we're going to skip right to Star Wars.
Alrighty.
All right, so there was a new promo that actually came out for Star Wars Rebels yesterday. You probably didn't see it, did you?
No.
It was like a full 30-second one. It wasn't anything big. The only thing I really got from it was there was this shot of Grand Moff Tarkin standing behind Hera and talking in her ear, which I was kind of like, uh-oh, what's going on there, But in any event,
I love Tarkin. That book was
so
good.
That's right. So you finished Heir of the Empire and you're on Dark Force Rising, right?
Oh wait, not talking about Tarkin. You're talking about...
Oh, not Tarkin, my bad. Thrawn.
Thrawn, yeah.
My bad. I mixed them up. Yes, there was a shot of Thrawn behind Hera talking to her.
Yes, I'm currently in the second book.
So you're into the Thrawn trilogy.
Yes.
What do you think of it so far?
I'm only partway through the second book. I'll wait till I'm finished and then I will give you my opinion.
Okay, well there we go. See, Lisa is our book person, of course, as she has stated. Audiobook person more likely, but in any event.
I have a commute to work. I listen to audiobooks.
And I listen to my podcast. See, to each his own. All right, so speaking of Star Wars, one thing that got me really excited about Star Wars was at the Oz Comic Con in Sydney, Australia. Katie Sackhoff, the Battlestar Galactica veteran, talked about how she's going to be reprising her role as Bo-Katan in an upcoming episode of Star Wars Rebels Season 3. Now, for those of you not familiar with the character, she was a Mandalorian warrior as a member of the splinter group Death Watch, who was opposed to the pacifist regime of her sister, the Duchess Satine. Bo-Katan became the trusted lieutenant of the group's leader, I can never say this right, Vizsla. I know I didn't say that right, but he was voiced by Jon Favreau. I do know that. And joined him as a member of Darth Maul's Shadow Collective. However, when Maul killed Vizsla, Bo-Katan split into a group and formed the Night Owls, which opposed Maul's rule of Mandalore. Now, I know you never really got through what you were trying to do, which is go through some of Clone Wars. Did you see, I know I've watched this episode several times. You saw the episode with Darth Maul on Mandalore, right?
Yeah, I've seen the ones of like where Obi-Wan and
so what
those.
happens is after Satine's spoiler alert, after Satine's death, Bo-Katan helps Obi-Wan escape Mandalore, and Obi-Wan vowing that he'll come back and help later on, of course. But then the show was canceled, so we never got to see that story arc, which I'm severely disappointed in. For me, this story I love because, again, it's more Clone Wars characters coming back into Rebels. We saw Ahsoka come back. We have Rex. We had Hondo come in as well. So just bringing in more Clone Wars characters into Rebels is something I'm very excited for, because also it deepens the mythology and, of course, leaves that piece of connective tissue between the series and movies and stuff like that. So I'm excited. I totally forgot that it was Katie Sackhoff that actually voiced the character. Not that I'm actually a big Battlestar Galactica fan, but she is known in the sci-fi realm, so in any event. But.
Speaking of Rebels and Ahsoka, can we talk about how the audiobook for Ahsoka?
I know. Oh yes, as I told you.
I'm so excited.
So the Ahsoka Tano book that's coming out next month.
Yeah, I think it's in October.
Yeah, next month. It's supposed to talk about Ahsoka Tano in between Clone Wars and Rebels, and I think where she was during Order 66. And they just announced yesterday, or just saw yesterday, that the audiobook is going to be read by Ashley...
Is it Eckstein or Eckstein?
Something like that. Anyway, the girl who actually voices Ahsoka Tano in Clone Wars and Rebels is going to be reading the audiobook. That's pretty cool.
I'm so excited for that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, that'll be awesome too. So overall, shaping up to be awesome. I'm very curious. You have her coming back. Now, whether this Bo-Katan is going to come into play because she's still trying to hunt down Maul, and of course Darth Maul has come back into the fold in Star Wars Rebels, or let's not forget that Sabine, in Season 2, we learned that she was a descendant of the Death Watch clan, actually. So, and we've seen that there are Mandalorians coming in from Death Watch based on the Season 3 trailer. So maybe she's going to, Bo-Katan's going to come in through that way. I don't know. But anyway, like I said, it got me excited that we're bringing in more characters from Clone Wars into Rebels, because I spent 6 years watching Clone Wars, and just, it's the payoff. That's why I like TV, It's all a payoff.
I'm just excited for whatever, because Rebels is awesome.
Rebels is awesome. If you haven't watched Rebels, let me know. I'll tell you what episodes to watch, which are still quite a bit. I can't believe I've told Josh numerous times to watch Season 1. He still hasn't done it. I think when Season 1 came out on DVD, I burned him quite a few episodes, and he still hasn't watched them yet. I'm so disappointed. See what happens? I tried to educate people, and they just don't listen, and then their lives are less full because of it.
Sure.
I can stick with that. I can say that, right?
Sure.
I think it's good. All right, guys. So that's about it. Unless you're saying anything else about Star Wars.
No, nothing else about Star Wars right now.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. So moving on, we're going to move on to Star Trek. The showrunner and executive producer for the upcoming Star Trek Discovery television show, Brian Fuller, was at the Star Trek Mission New York and talked on a panel about the upcoming series. They went into more detail about how the ship is called Discovery for a few reasons. Quote, none of the least is with Stanley Kubrick's contribution to the Discovery in 2001: A Space Odyssey, NASA's vessel the Discovery, and also the sense of discovery that he wants Star Trek to have on the audience as well. Now, talking a little bit more about the series and kind of things that we've already known is that this TV series is going to take place several years before the original series, and it's going to be on the regular timeline, not the Kelvin timeline, which is what the movies with Chris Pine and Zachary Quinto are right now. It's going to be the regular timeline. It's going to be 10 years before the original series, and at the first time, the main focus of the series is not going to be the ship's captain. Instead, it's going to be the female Starfleet officer referred to as Number 1. Star Trek Discovery is going to premiere on CBS in January 2017, and then after that, all the other episodes are going to be on the CBS All Access streaming service, which is set to include 13 episodes in Season 1. So, I know we've talked about this before, but new information about the series. Still any interest in watching?
No.
No? Still none?
No.
Okay.
No. I've never been a big fan of the Star Trek, the TV show. Any of them. I mean, I've seen a handful of episodes from, lots. I never got into it. I never really liked much Star Trek until the Kelvin timeline films. I mean, I don't know if it's just because of the show always just seemed kind of boring to me. But I really like the new movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm not really all that interested.
So last week was the 50th anniversary of Star Trek, and I did a little pod as well about how, yes, I'm a Star Wars fan. I never consider myself a Star Trek fan, but I do consider myself a fan of the Kelvin timeline because I like the current movies. I like the current comic book series that IWD Publishing is doing. So again, I'm not a Star Trek fan, I'm a Kelvin timeline fan. But I did give my props to the series for going for 50 years and still going strong, so I just had to give a little bit of respect for that. And then I went back that night and I watched a couple of Star Trek Next Generation, just a few random episodes. Not the best, again, I'm a Star Wars guy, I like my action, but, it was decent. I just had some random episodes that I watched, and overall, The Next Generation, I think most people, at least my age, will agree is the best of the Star Trek series. By the way, guys, if you want to check any of them out, you can go on Netflix. I think all 5 or 6 Star Trek series are on Netflix. I recommend The Next Generation. But in any event, I'm going to check this out when it comes to Netflix. Of course, I'm not going to get this CBS All Access streaming service because that's just a waste, in my opinion. But I'll check out Discovery when it comes out. I think, given the response to the new Star Trek movies, I think this series is going to be a little different. I think there is going to be a little more action incorporated into it as opposed to past film.
Well, I think you're right. I mean, I think there's surely, even though it's not going to be in the Kelvin timeline, they have to know that these 3 most recent Star Trek films have been much more popular than. I mean, for a long time, sure, there was a select group of people that were, Trekkies. I mean, there was a very specific group of people that were Trekkies. I mean, and sure, it's a big group of people. I'm not trying to pretend like it's only like 10 people. Star Trek has a huge fan base.
Yes, it does.
But these Kelvin timeline films have increased that fan base tremendously.
Yeah, it brought it more mainstream.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I think it would be stupid for them not to realize that there's something in those films that's attracting a wider base. Mm-hmm. So it would make sense to put a little bit of that into the show.
Mm-hmm. It's just not the more attractive crew, though, is it?
Well, who knows? We don't know who they're going to cast in this show. Maybe it'll be people who are prettier than Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana. I mean, I would be amazed if that were the case, but I'm just saying.
All right. Anyway, all right. So, jumping off of that, we're going to jump into something I'm sure Lisa's going to have a few more words about. Screen Gems and Lakeshore Entertainment released a trailer for the 5th Underworld film last week, Underworld Blood Wars. The franchise sequel sees the return of Kate Beckinsale as Selene and is going to come to theaters January 6, 2017. Returning to his role as David is going to be Theo James, who we saw in the last film, Underworld Awakening. And this film is going to be directed by Anna Forrester. Now, Anna Forrester, actually not really a big movie director. She's directed several episodes of Criminal Minds and Outlander, and is also known for her work as cinematographer on Independence Day, The Day After Tomorrow, and White House Down. So the trailer came out last week. There was a poster that came out yesterday, too. But the 5th Underworld film, I'll let you take it.
I don't know. So here's my thing. Number one, I'm pretty sure that Kate Beckinsale doesn't age.
it's that tight leather. They just keep everything in there
holy
really
cow.
tight.
Like, she is more beautiful every year than she was the year before. I mean, I'm
you
just
know what?
gonna
I'm
say,
surprised
I have a super
too.
crush on her.
I don't know what it is. I feel like she should be a bigger name than what she is too.
I know, right?
You know?
But anyway,
She's got because she's done like some of the more period pieces as well.
Yeah, well, she's British.
And then she's done the action films as well too. So I figure why she's got the talent. Why isn't she a bigger name?
I don't know. So I love her as Selene. I know not everybody loved all 3 of the original Underworld films. The original 3.
The original 3.
The
yes.
original 3.
We'll stick with those.
I love the first one, and you know me, Rise of the Lycans is my favorite.
Yeah.
I love Rise of the Lycans. I know not everybody does. I've heard a lot of people on different movie podcasts, saying not very nice things about those films. But I love those first 3. The fourth one,
it was crap. Just go ahead and say it was crap.
It was crap. So I don't know how I feel about this one having David back in it, because his first time was in that fourth one, right?
Underworld.
He wasn't in the first 3. And in the first 3, I mean, she ended up in the end killing off most of the other characters that vampire.
She killed off. She killed off the main vampire.
Right. The main 3 ended up being dead in the end. So, that's why the fourth one I think was weird, because it was a whole different. It was about them versus
surviving the humans.
In the humans, right? So this one though, the trailer, we watched it a few times, and I have no freaking clue what's going on.
Well, it seems like this one we're back to the war of vampires versus Lycans.
Right? But it doesn't. It didn't just look like vampires versus Lycans. Like, so, I don't know. It was like they were trying to tell us something, but they couldn't quite get it across.
Okay.
Because there was something about people wearing these like white fluffy capes, and like I don't know what's going on.
They look like and then like there was parts in there where it looked like they were doing like a flashback too of like because there was like a castle or something.
Yeah,
so I think part of it was a flashback as well.
So I'm just gonna need more information on what this one's gonna be about, because I'm not overly optimistic just because I did not like the fourth one.
And that's kind of what it is. We're going off one that wasn't very good, so you can't really get excited for a fifth one if the fourth one wasn't
and
good.
Especially because after the first 3, what we wanted from the fourth one was Selene, getting, them, their lives kind of going together.
We wanted Selene and Michael, yes.
Right, and then he wasn't in it, and he's not going to be in this one.
I talked about this last week when the trailer first dropped, so kind of reiterating is my problem with the fourth one, especially, I don't know what the heck Scott Speedman's doing.
He's not doing anything. Why can't he come be in these movies?
It's like they tried to put the character of Michael in without having him in there.
Yeah, and it was stupid.
And in this trailer, they were talking about, or Selene was talking about how like all the people she loved is dead. So they brought up Michael, but I'm like, he didn't die at the end of Underworld Awakening. He like escaped,
right,
or whatever, and they just didn't show him.
Well,
so
what happened to her kid?
Exactly, and then like to her daughter as well.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, okay, well, is she dead now too?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they're doing.
I'm not sure what they're doing in this one, but like I said, for me, let's take Rise of the Lycans out of it, okay? Those first 2 movies were about Selene and Michael and how special they are. Now this one goes to reiterate that Selene is special, okay? And I think it has a little bit to do with the fact that also in that second film she drank the blood of Alexander Corvinus, which made her stronger as well. So I think that has a little bit to do with it too. And they reiterated, that she's special as well. But you need to get Scott Speedman back in here.
Yeah,
come
Michael. On. Pay him some money if that's what it's about or something. You need him.
Okay, to be fair, we don't have to pay him that much money.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, we need him in this movie.
And that's the thing. It's like with the fourth one, too, they kind of hinted that he might be in it or may not. So even walking into that fourth film, I thought maybe he might show up, and he never did. Like, they showed him, but they didn't show his face, and it was just ridiculous how they did that fourth film. This one, horrible. Honestly, based on the trailer alone, I don't have high hopes for it. Because, again, they're playing off of that fourth film, which was not good.
We'll still have to go see it.
Of course, we'll go see it, because we're a fan of the franchise.
Yeah.
I'm just not going to have high hopes for the film, though.
Yeah.
But in any event, we'll still watch these movies as long as they keep on making them, I guess.
Yeah.
Don't sound too excited about it. All right, so another film franchise that is looking to make a comeback in the upcoming years is James Cameron's Avatar. Now, Cameron was at the New York premiere of Cirque du Soleil's Turok at the Barclays Center, and he kind of talked about the Avatar sequels and what they're going to be about. Now, when talking to Variety, he said, quote, "The storyline in the sequels really follows Jake and Neytiri and their children. It's more of a family saga about the struggle with humans." Earlier this year, it was revealed that the first Avatar sequel is going to hit theaters on December 2018, with 3 more films set to come out in 2020, 2022, and 2023. Now, Cameron said as of right now, they haven't moved the target date for that first film, and as of right now, everything looks like it's a go to still come out on December 2018. The original Avatar film came out in 2009 and was the top grossing movie of all time with $2.782 billion at the worldwide box office. Now, it was the domestic reigning champion as well, but it got knocked out domestically by Star Wars The Force Awakens. Confirmed for the cast members to return are Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, Stephen Lang, and Sigourney Weaver. So, again, get a little more story about what the Avatar sequels going forward are going to be about. What do you think about the story premise?
Well, I mean, we don't have a story premise.
We have an idea.
It's going to be about them and their kids now. Okay, so it's not really a story premise.
It is. Well, we realize now they have kids. I mean...
Well, I think considering it's going to be how many years? 9 years after the
last
one?
No, we don't know that in the story sense. It could be the next day after in the story sense.
I guess so.
In any event, again, we got an idea that it's going to be about they have children. It's going to be a family story. So I think it's going to be these 4 movies going to be one continuous story. In that sense, for me, when for some reason, of course, when immediately they said family saga, my first idea went to the Skywalkers, which I don't think it's going to be something like that. But
I mean, I really liked the first Avatar. So, I mean, I hope that this next one really delivers because it's so long. I mean,
by the time in 2018, that's 9 years in between films. First off, they're definitely going to have to do some kind of re-release in theaters
for sure.
to get people talking about Avatar again. Because
I mean, I'd go see it again in theaters. Avatar. I mean,
yeah, we saw it in IMAX.
IMAX.
IMAX on Navy Pier, and it was really cool. It was
it is
one of the few films I think was worth seeing in 3D.
Yeah, I mean, I really liked the first Avatar. I mean, I think the storyline was good. I mean, it was full of the feels. I mean, I cried several times. You know, I mean, I thought that for them being all like CG, I thought that the chemistry there was really good between Jake and Neytiri, and I mean, I liked it. I think I'm excited to see another one. I hope that it delivers. It
has to do with the fact that it's been so long since, and you can look at it, from another standpoint it's James Cameron, okay? James Cameron, in his last couple films, granted, he's not one of those guys that pops out a movie every couple of years, okay? When he does movies, they are event films that are really...
and because his movies, he's always all about the next big thing.
Breaking ground,
yeah. In terms of movie making, not necessarily in the plot. Like, the big thing about Avatar wasn't so much the plot, the story... It was how he made Avatar. But the problem is, now that's kind of old news.
Yeah, well, of course, yeah. But, so now it's like, he's got something.
He's got to have a new gimmick.
Yeah, because really Avatar is what started the 3D craze.
Right. And like the motion capture and the way they did all that, I mean, it was kind of groundbreaking. The cameras, wasn't there some big thing about the cameras?
The cameras are something special, yeah.
Yeah, like, I mean, that's his thing is... It's not just making movies, it's making movies in a way that nobody else makes movies.
Yeah, I think, I mean, he's taking his time with this, which makes me believe, given that it's James Cameron, it's going to be something special.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so too, like I said, I have faith in James Cameron. I can't remember the last bad James Cameron film that I saw. In fact, I don't think it's ever been, gosh...
We'll have to look that up after we do our Tom Hanks top 10.
Yes. We're in a bit of a struggle right now, trying to do top 10 Tom Hanks films, and there's way too many good ones to choose the top 10. But James Cameron, let's see, he's done Terminator 2, Aliens, Titanic, True Lies. Probably True Lies is probably my least favorite.
I like True Lies.
I like it. I'm saying that's my least favorite of them, though, too. So he did.
Wait, which one is True Lies?
True Lies is Arnold Schwarzenegger and
right.
Curtis.
Yeah, I like that one. I like that one.
I remember when I was younger
and Tom Arnold's in it too, right?
Yeah, Tom Arnold's in it too.
Okay.
I remember when I was younger, me, my brother, and my mom were going to go see a movie, and we couldn't decide between Speed or True Lies.
Oh, I saw Speed in theater. I remember.
I wanted to see True Lies. We saw Speed instead. I love Speed so much more than True Lies.
Oh yeah, Speed's way better than True
So
Lies.
I'm so
yeah,
glad
I remember
we saw
Mimi
that.
and I went and saw Speed in theaters with my dad, and it was super good.
There we go. Okay. All right, guys. One to cut it short a little bit. We do have another story about the Divergent film franchise.
Blah,
but
blah, blah.
Neither of us have seen that, so we'll cut that short.
Neither one of us have seen it or have any desire
And then
to.
there's a story about Daniel Craig getting offered a crap load of money
Yeah,
to return
seriously.
as James
We can
Bond.
talk about that one.
Okay, you want to talk about that one real quick?
Well, only because I was kind of getting excited about the thought of maybe Tom Hiddleston.
Okay, all right, okay. So
Bond. I mean, like I said, I'm not a big fan of the Bond films. I mean, they're all right, but I haven't even seen the last few. But I think I really liked the first Daniel Craig one.
Okay, let me read the story first.
Why do you have to read the story?
Because they get the whole information first.
Whatever.
Okay. All right. So Sony Pictures reportedly has offered Daniel Craig, Daniel Craig a whopping £68 million or $100 million to return as James Bond in the next James Bond movie. They want him actually for 2 movies for up to $150 million. Now, this is all according to Radar Online, so it's not really, I don't know how solid it is, but this is kind of the rumor going around. So as we know, though, the director Sam Mendes, who did the last 2 James Bond films, Skyfall and Spectre, will not be back, even if Daniel Craig does come back. Now, Skyfall was a big hit, but then Spectre, the latest one, was kind of a critical and financial. Well, no, critically it was panned. Financially, I think it did okay. It didn't do as good as Skyfall. In any event, Daniel Craig kind of looked like he was done with James Bond, but now it looks like maybe they're trying to lure him back in. But there have been lots of people who have been speculating who could be the next James Bond. Some of the top of the list were Idris Elba, Michael Fassbender, and Tom Hiddleston.
Tom Hiddleston just looks to me like, I mean, it's kind of like going back to almost like the what's his face? Who did it before Daniel Craig? I'm trying to Pierce Brosnan.
Pierce Brosnan.
Like Tom Hiddleston reminds me of
did you
more
know-
of like a Pierce Brosnan style.
Did you
Bond.
know they're filming there's a Pierce Brosnan TV show that's filming in Austin called The Sun.
Really?
Yeah, they came in and bought some stuff from the store today or whatever, and I'm like, Pierce Brosnan's in Austin? Where is he? Where is he?
Right. Well, so I'm just saying, I really liked, like when Daniel Craig started as Bond, like the first one he was in. What was that one?
Casino Royale, my favorite James Bond film.
Right, and I really liked that one. And Daniel Craig was a nice change at that point because he was so different, I think, than the previous Bonds.
Yeah.
The previous Bonds had more of a Tom Hiddleston look to them, like
More pretty?
yeah, like prettier. Like not that Daniel Craig isn't pretty. He's built bulkier, like he's more like musculature.
Yeah, exactly. He's got the upper body.
Right, where like Tom Hiddleston seems to me more like in the
Pierce Brosnan, yeah.
Yeah, like
Pierce Brosnan wasn't like big and bulking.
Yeah, they're more like the international spy kind of person
Pierce Brosnan seemed more
than like a fighter.
So I've seen Sean Connery and Roger Moore films. Mm-hmm. It's been a long time since I've seen them though, so I can't really talk too much about them. Really, I got into James Bond with Pierce Brosnan, so I can really only talk about that.
I have watched them from a long time because I used to watch them with my dad. Mm-hmm. So I mean, I've seen all the ones. I've seen all the ones.
I've just been so long since I've seen them. So really, the ones that I've repeat watching was been the Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig ones. So just speaking from that standpoint, Pierce Brosnan, and it looked like, Sean Connery as well, were the suave, sophisticated, whereas Daniel Craig played more of just a straight, tough guy kind of look. He wasn't as smooth as Pierce Brosnan was.
Like a almost be kind of nice to have more like a Tom Hiddleston, Michael Fassbender style. I mean, I don't really want Michael Fassbender
I heard they're even looking at someone even younger, like a Jamie Bell, the guy who played the Thing in the latest Fantastic Four.
I mean, I could see that. I love Tom Hiddleston. I would love to have
I know, you just want him in everything.
He's so pretty.
Which, by the way, that Tom Hiddleston, Hank Williams movie, I got it from the library. It's due back tomorrow, though.
I'm not going to watch it.
I know you were not going to watch it. I just thought, because your mom wanted to watch it.
Yeah.
And I told her about it when I got it 3 weeks ago.
Well, see, because this is just another proof of why Tom Hiddleston is amazing. Because he does all his own singing in that and everything. Talk about a super talented Tom Hiddleston, I love you. Just saying.
Okay, then. Well, there you go. In any event, yes, so whether Daniel Craig comes back, we'll just have to wait. I think if he does come back for another 1 or 2 films, you can count these other guys like Fassbender and Hiddleston out for the next one. They're going to, I think they're going to be pass on, if the opportunity comes again, and they're going to look for someone younger.
Well, I think also, too, you have to think about when they put Daniel Craig in this role. I mean, he was well known, but he wasn't in the league that Hiddleston and Idris Elba. And
Fassbender. He wasn't as known as.
That's what I mean.
He wasn't as well known as any of these guys.
That's what I mean. Yeah. So I think I think that I don't think they're gonna go with someone like these
Unknown,
guys.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're gonna go with
'Cause
more
really,
of an
I mean-
unknown. Not unknown, but a lesser. Not somebody who's already doing huge.
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't really. I mean, granted, I was a young kid, but I wasn't really familiar with Pierce Brosnan either before he became James Bond.
Because he hadn't been in huge things.
Yeah, I think that he did have that one show was Remington Steele.
Yeah, I mean, and he'd been in a couple little movies.
Yeah, but
he
nothing.
wasn't like these guys are. Like, and I think they tend to choose their Bonds like
Yeah.
that. It's not. They don't want somebody who's already so well known.
They do that a lot in the movies and franchises too. Where
Yeah.
they choose a lot of actors that are known but not well known.
Right. I mean, they don't want to get someone that's up there in the movie, and all of a sudden, the first few scenes, everyone's like,
It's like
"Oh, look, it's Magneto."
Exactly.
Like,
well,
they don't want
yeah,
that.
it's like how if you cast like Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt in a role,
Yeah.
they don't want you to see. They want you to see the character. They don't want you to see Tom Cruise or Brad Pitt.
Right. Exactly.
In any event, but yeah, we'll just wait and see if Daniel Craig does come back. We'll just see how many pounds they end up paying him. In any event. All right, guys. Well, that is going to be it for us today. If you have any questions, want to join in on the discussion, hit us up on social media in the Facebook group or on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitter and Instagram at SlimDayspring12. I'll probably end up doing a little short show tomorrow because I want to talk a little bit about the new Wolverine film and the Mr. Sinister being the main villain. So I'll do maybe a little short one tomorrow. Maybe talk about something else too. But that's going to be it for us now. Like I said, guys, hit us up. Let us know what you think. We want you to join in the discussion with us as well. Anything else you want to talk about?
Nope.
Nope. All right, guys, that is going to be it for us. So until next time, same bat channel.